Okay, everybody, we're going to get going. Again, thank you all for coming early, getting here on time. We appreciate it. My name's Jim Osgood. I'm a community development analyst, and I'm the coordinator for the micro grant program. Grant? I always forget it, but it's the nmgp. And I will say that a million times, but I'll forget it all the time, and I'll call it everything else. But yeah, thank you for coming. We're basically going to do a little slideshow. Hopefully everybody got signed in. If you didn't, please sign in on your way out. And hopefully everyone received, a packet of the slideshow we're going to go over. And then there's applications back there also when you signed in. We have English and Spanish applications. And we're going to get going. Really quick before we start, though, I want to introduce my supervisor, Margaret Madden.
Hello, Long Beach. Thank you all for coming out for the Neighborhood Micro Grant Program Application Workshop. My name is Margaret Madden. I'm with Housing and Neighborhood Services. And we asked the chair of the Long Beach Community Investment Company, Mary Castro, to help give a welcome to all of you this evening. So I'd like to welcome up Mary Castro.
Thank you. So all your bright ideas and your positivity stopped the rain so that you could at least come into the building and get all the information you need and share it out through your projects. Thank you for inviting me here to welcome everybody, and it's great to see neighbors that want to improve their neighborhood, who have their eyes open to possibilities for making things better, even if it is on a micro level. I don't believe anything is really micro. Yes, the funding is micro. I wish it could be a lot more. But the impact you have is not micro. Because normally, and there's a board back there that shows a lot of the types of projects that have been funded in the past, not only one person is going to be affected by it. And so that means that whatever you come up with your creativity and the engagement that you get from other neighbors, if it's a mural, people are going to be passing it all the time. If it's a distribution for food or for clothing, if it's a party, you're going to impact more than just a small amount of your community. Just by them seeing that you were successful in making something happen will then trigger them to want to become a part of making other things happen. And one thing I really like about the micro grant program is that you can apply for more than one. So once you learn this process, and yes, the first time you go through it, you're kind of like, am I doing this right or not? And so it's great that you have this type of support to help you guide you through it. But it gets easier every time you do it. And you're just there is going to be a light bulb that goes on. Everywhere you look, you're going to see opportunities to make the different things happen. And then you can recruit other people to help you. And so I encourage you, as long as there is funding available, keep applying for different things. Keep trying to find ways to make it happen. Don't get discouraged if your application gets turned back to you for more information or for follow-up on different things. Because that's just because there are certain requirements that we are bound by in order to release the funds so that you can make these great things happen. It's not because we think, or the people who make the decisions think it's a bad idea in any way. It's just there's things we have to check off to make it possible. And so don't get discouraged if something comes back to you. Just ask questions and resubmit it and just keep going till you get that yes. So I look forward to hearing about your projects and seeing more of them on the board back there for the next group. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me the name of your organization and what does it do?
The Long Beach Community Investment Company, we're a nonprofit that was created for the city of Long Beach, and we usually disperse funds that come in through state and federal for affordable housing.
Are you the one dispersing the funds for this, or no?
Our management makes the decision on part of that, and Margaret would be able to answer that better for you. But in larger grants, I served on a committee that made the decisions about funding for those, and we did fund those. We also do the affordable housing projects that happen in the neighborhood. There's a wide variety of things, but we're kind of the financiers. So the money comes to us, then we make the decision about how it goes out.
And you work with the city, but you're not a governmental organization.
Right, we're a nonprofit, we're a private entity, so, and I'm the chair of that board. That's why I get to see these different types of things come through. I've also been on the other side. I've written grants, I've fundraised, so I know what it feels like to get that great idea and then we want to know, what do I do next? You're really lucky to have this resource here to help you get to the next step. And then develop a network of other people within Long Beach that even if you're all from different neighborhoods, to where you can say, hey, what's working in that neighborhood might work for our neighborhood. You know, just keep your ears open for what's working and be creative. Try anything. If you think it's going to work, even if it doesn't work the first time that you put it out there and you think, tweak it, try to come back with it. And when you start to see success, it will really snowball. You just keep wanting to do it more and more. Good luck.
Thanks, Mary. You had a great question about who funds these and who approves the grants. We will get a little bit more in depth, but I will tell you this grant is actually funded with general funds from the city. And so this grant doesn't have a deadline. It's just a rolling approvals. And once everything on the checklist is complete, then we can proceed with processing the funding.
So her organization has nothing to do with.
Her organization is, the LBCIC is the commission that oversees the Housing and Neighborhood Services Bureau that were funded by HUD. And so our staff and our programs are funded with HUD funds, but this particular program is actually funded with general funds.
Okay, so she's not involved.
She won't be approving the applications. There's no judging panel. It's basically finishing all the details for us to be able to process payment as a administrative. We're approved by City Council to make the payments for the city. So I'd like to start first with introductions and welcomes from all of you. This is always a great chance to get to know the other people in the room, what neighborhoods you're from. So if you will go around and we'll start with you, your name and your neighborhood association, and we'll just go through the whole room.
Hello, my name is Barbara Weiser, and I'm actually from Lighthouse Christian Center, and we do a lot of neighborhood things. Our church is actually located on Dairy and South area.
DeForest Park neighborhood.
Yes.
You work with the DeForest Park Neighborhood Association yet?
No, but I will learn.
All right. Hint, hint.
Hi, my name is Ariel Johnson. I'm with the North Pine Neighborhood Alliance, and we applied for an application, I think, last year. I think I spoke with Jim and I spoke with you. And so I'm just happy to be here and kind of restart the application process because we want our event to be a success this year. So yeah, I'll hand it over to Leanna.
And I'm Leanna Noble, and I'm with Ariel.
Hi, I'm Laura Hillstrom. We're with the Greenbelt Heights Association, which is over by Wilson High School. And I'm interested because I kind of did it all on my own to make a mural happen in the Greenbelt, and got it from the Arts Council, got some money from them, but didn't realize that there was funds for something like that. So we're going to look at having some events this year.
And I'm Sharon. I'm Sharon with the Greenbelt Heights Neighborhood Association.
Awesome. Thank you. Come on, Andrea.
Hi, good evening. My name is Andrea. I am not affiliated with a neighborhood association yet. But just be on the lookout. It's coming soon.
What topic are you interested in? So if everyone else.
I'm specifically interested in gardening projects.
Hi, I'm with Andrea. Oh, my name is Michelle Baxter.
Thank you.
My name is Pamela West, and I am from the North Long Beach Coolidge Triangle area. I graduated NLP in 2020, and I wrote a grant already, so I came here to kind of refresh and get some new news because I just made president for our Coolidge Triangle Neighborhood Association. So thanks be to that. NLP is Neighborhood Leadership Program. Neighborhood Leadership Program gives you the resources and the power to write grants and to be a part of your Long Beach community and to serve your purpose in your community and around Long Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Rita Sisawat. I was a former student last year from NLP. Yeah. And I don't belong to the neighborhood association yet. But I'm running a non-profit organization. It's for Chanchaya Khmer Cultural Heritage. Yeah, and right now we're gonna to join the parade of Khmer Cambodian New Year on April 7th, and I need some grant to buy the costume and the crown and everything because we're gonna to do the parade, and I already invite some classmates. They would like to join me to do the parade too. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Bass with Bluff Heights Neighborhood Association. I'm the new treasurer, and we've been having a lot of fun writing grants and putting the funds towards beautification, planting trees in our neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Danielle Potter, and I am with the Rose Park Neighborhood Association, and we've used grants for murals, as well as block parties, ride rodeos around our Rose Park Circle. So happy to share other ideas. Thanks.
And I'm Stephen Sutton with the Bluff Heights Neighborhood Association. I serve with Kathy on the board of directors, and also work hand-in-hand collaboratively with other neighborhoods like Rose Park. We just completed an event together using funds from the port and funds from one of these grants, which was great, planting all the planters at Mann Elementary School. So for garden projects, we'd love to connect with you for some of that. Thank you.
Oh, who am I? My name is Francisco Rodriguez. I'm with the city of Long Beach. I'm a community program specialist. I am working on PowerPoint today. I'm also in charge of the neighborhood leadership program, so if you all have questions about it, you can see me after. And I'm also a volunteer with the Sunny Central Neighborhood Association in Central Long Beach.
And then we have interpretation available tonight, so I'd like to thank all of our interpreters. And Gonzalo Sanchez is here at the sign-in table from Housing and Neighborhood Services. So I'm going to turn it over to Jim.
Okay, well, thank you all again for coming. I'm glad to actually see some faces, to some names that I only talked to them on the phone, but I never actually got to meet them. So, and I'm glad to see that some groups have come here that have already used this program. As you heard some of the groups mention that they've already used this grant. This is our second round of funding for this grant that we're releasing. So that's a good thing. When the funds are still available, that's a good thing because that means more projects and more things that could be done in the community, okay? So again, welcome. I'm gonna go through this slideshow a little fast and then we'll actually go through the application itself and then we'll answer any questions you might have as we're going along. Margaret will jump in and help me when I go make that weird face, okay? So we're gonna start here with our slideshow really quick. And again, see, they're throwing me off with these MGs things. So anyways, what is the nmgp? It's a matching grant. It has project guidelines. Let me just keep going. Why the nmgp? Providing structure to your community projects. As Mary had mentioned, creativity, we want you to think of just everything. Block parties are great. Murals are great. I know Rose Park just completed a really nice mural with one of our grants. But please look at the boards before you leave today too, because you can definitely see how these funds have helped neighborhood groups accomplish major events and projects in their community. So without the neighborhood groups, we couldn't do this. Who is eligible? Boom. Long Beach Neighborhood Associations. Long Beach Neighborhood Associations are the lead on this. If you're a nonprofit or you're a church or something, you are going to have to partner with a neighborhood association, and they will be the lead on the application. Okay? Please keep that in mind. That's really important. Next one, funding will be available for approved neighborhood associations. Fund distributions will be made by the Housing and Neighborhood Services Bureau, that's us, to the neighborhood associations or its fiscal agent. Now, for those of you that are going, well, what's a fiscal agent? Because I didn't know what a fiscal agent was until I started this. A fiscal agent is going to be the person that, once your application is approved, they're basically a 501c. They are going to be the person that will actually receive the funds for your group, and they will be in charge of distributing the funds to you based off of what you've applied for in your group. You must have a fiscal agent to apply. If you cannot find a fiscal agent, and that's why we like to have these workshops also, because we want groups to partner. We get a lot of nonprofits also that are looking to partner with groups. So we want you to network, as Mary also mentioned. You can. We did try this, and it did work. It doesn't always work, but it did work. We had one group that unfortunately just could not find a fiscal agent, and one of the neighborhood group representatives agreed to use their own personal social security number, and with a little work, they were able to use it, but we highly recommend that you use a fiscal agent. Okay, yes?
So, absolutely, you have to be partner with 501c3 if you don't have that status as a neighborhood association.
Yeah, or you can, and if all else fails, you can, if there's someone willing to, in your group, give up their social security number.
You're including the tax ID number. We do have that. We're a different status. That's fine. That's what I'm trying to understand. Does it have to be 501c3, or can it be what?
No, he's saying 501 because there's other categories in there that are fine too. But you need a tax ID number. So it could be a business, but they're going to get a 1099 at the end of the year. It could be an individual. It could be a 501c3. But if you have a tax ID number for your organization already, we can cut a check to you.
Okay, next one, Francisco. Fundings will be provided for goods and services only. Approved neighborhood associations are eligible to receive up to $1,500. That's per grant. As Mary had mentioned, you can apply for more than one grant, but each application must be its own project. Okay? And what I mean by that is one might be a community garden, next one might be a mural. You might even go for a third one, and you might think three. We actually have some groups that have applied for three grants. But each one is a maximum of $1,500. If your project or your costs go over that $1,500, it will be up to your group to incur anything over the $1,500 cost, okay? And we will probably ask you for a letter or email stating that you're willing to pay over the $1,500. Funds. Neighborhood associations must meet all the NOFA criteria and requirements. A W-9 form is required. Fiscal agents can be used. Also, when you came in, I brought copies, just extra copies if you need them. They're also included in the packet and in the email. If you received the email notice about this workshop and the actual grant, there is a writable application and a writable W-9 form included in that notice. okay? And it also has the website inside the packet application that you picked up when you came in. Projects in 2024 will receive first priority. As of right now, there is no time limit on these grants. We haven't been told there's a deadline, at least for the $1,500 ones. Okay, so I highly recommend you take advantage of it, and hopefully they don't put a deadline on them. So again, you can apply and apply and apply. So we definitely encourage that. What is matching grant? The group must match a percentage of the amount they're requesting from the grant. We'll get into that a little more as we go through the application about the match. Matching grants demonstrate a group's ability to organize a project and the support the project has in the community. The nmgp, NOFA, say that 10 times, has 4 ways you can match funds: goods, services, cash, and volunteer hours. Excuse me. What are goods? Goods are in-kind materials, donations pledged to support your community project. Example is food, bottled water, tables, chairs, trees, plants, etc., depending on your project. Okay, we had to put this slide in because we had some issues with this on our last round. A note on goods: gift cards are not eligible in this application, and alcohol cannot be included in this event. But that's the case. Yeah, no alcohol can be included in the events, and gift cards are not allowed in this. So if you have a project where, say, you're looking to give out gift cards to the kids at a local school, unfortunately, you can't do that. You're going to have to look at a different way around the gift cards. What are the services? Professionals who donate their expertise to a project. Say you're doing a landscaping community garden, and you have a landscape architect who lives in the neighborhood, and that person is willing to design the community garden for you and says, I'm willing to donate my time to draw up the plans. That would be a perfect example. Oh, example. Landscapers, painters, and performers. Francisco's all one step ahead of me. What are our services? Professional services are valued at market value. And the magic number, it's okay. Non-professional or donate time to a project. And what is that? Volunteer. Examples: cleaning streets, planting trees, event setups. That's volunteer or donated labor. And the volunteer hours are valued at $29.95 an hour. That is in the budget page in your packet. So any volunteer hours that you put towards this project, it will be valued at $29.95 an hour. And that can go really quick and add up towards your match. Yes?
I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to be sure. So something that is not an event, not a tangible item, for example, like someone who is going to create our website for our neighborhood association, this is not something that can be funded through this program.
Possible.
It could be possible. If they're willing to say that person that's going to design the website says, I'll donate my time to design the website.
Right, then could we give them $1,500 even if we take, so let's say the design, the whole thing costs them $5,000. Could we then use funds to offset that with them?
I think you want to show how is that website a benefit to the community. So if you're going to use the website to invite people to your monthly meetings, and you're going to have all those people that are coming to meetings and people that are creating content on that website that are donating their time, and you're hiring a professional to help.
So yeah, keep in mind that $29.95. It is in the application, but that's going to help you a lot because you can use just the volunteer hours as your match for this grant. Again, you can use just the volunteer hours for your match for this grant. Keep that in mind. Next, please. What is money? What is money? Cash contributions given to the group project for a specific project component. Some groups have businesses, local business, Bob's Market on the corner might want to donate, a couple of cases of water to your project, things like that. Include that kind of stuff in, and there is a category, once we go through the application, that is cash contributions. Some neighborhood groups have their own funds set aside that they're for projects, and they're willing to include some of that. Those are the kind of things that stand out. Those are the kind of things that when we're reviewing the applications, my opinion, I don't want to speak for other staff, but my opinion, when I review them, if I see a neighborhood group that's willing to donate some of their own, personal funds, that makes me think, wow, they're invested in this. They really want to see this program go through. Whether it is tree plantings, community gardens, doing something with the local elementary school. And we do have some groups that Belmont Heights has done some great things with the elementary school, Mann Elementary School. So cash contributions are a big thing. I look at it like I said, it's a major investment. Makes me know that you're willing to you're really committing to your project. Okay, now we're not going to look at this because it's just too small, and my glasses can't even see that. So we're going to actually go to the application now, and we're going to go through that. I don't even know if you want to keep that up. It's up to you. So the first page on the application just basically goes over, it's an introduction, the overview. Again, it's $1,500 maximum per application. This is also a citywide grant. Anyone in the city can apply for this grant. There's no restrictions for boundaries, okay? Neighborhoods, but it must be a neighborhood association. Okay. So on the second page, I guess maybe, you're following me. You're ahead of me. It does show some examples. Hosting a neighborhood block party, food distribution of holiday meals for local families. We had a lot of groups that did that since when we released this last time. It was around the holidays. We had a lot of neighborhood groups do food distribution and holiday meals for families in the areas. Hosting neighborhood cleanups, community breakfasts, neighborhood banners, building a vegetable garden. I know someone had mentioned community gardens or gardens they're interested in. Working with volunteers, students at local school, installing community book exchange libraries, those cool little libraries that people are putting out now in their front yards, which are just awesome. Hosting an employment, health education, mental health resource fair. I know some groups had interest in that also. Providing a physical activity engagement project, providing tote bags and school supplies. We have a group right now that's currently, actually a couple groups that are currently working with local schools to provide students with tote bags, backpacks. We had one group that actually was providing all the students with shoes, coats. You'd really be surprised, what some of these youth really, need. So again, this grant's right up that alley. The cost for a block party, okay, this is the thing, and I'm going to let Margaret elaborate a little more on this. The cost for block party permits and street closure barricades for neighborhood events may be funded separately through the Office of Special Events and Filming. Do you want to go into a little more detail about that?
Sure. So there's a separate funding pot of money that was given to Office of Special Events, and it's also general fund that's for block parties, but at this moment, it's for summer block parties. So if you're having your event in the summer, then the permits and the barricades for street closures could be covered under that. So if you're looking to do something that's you're gonna close the street and you want barricades, you might think about doing it in the summer until we let you know that there have been any changes.
So you have to apply separately?
There actually isn't an application for the street closure. It's the regular process with special events and filming. You still have to get the property owners to agree to allow the street to be closed. It's just that there's no charge. I don't. I heard that it was called 100 Days of Summer. If you did something in June, I think they'd probably call it summer. If,
Or maybe if we decide to, the last day of school,
Uh,
unified this day.
I'm hoping that they're able to make an administrative change to the rule, but technically what's in the city council approval at this point is for summer block parties, but I think they're looking to try to clarify that language.
Thank you, Margaret. Next one, incomplete applications will not be considered. Now, you heard Mary mention that you're going to submit your application, and we get it for review, and it's missing some documentation or whatever may be the case. We're not just going to call you up and go, incomplete, sorry, try again next year. We will work with you. We'll contact you via phone, via email, and work with you to let you know what is missing in your application. We're here to help you. We want your applications to succeed, and we want to see these great projects. So don't get discouraged, like, as Mary said, if we call you up and say, well, you're missing a lot of documentation, let's go over this, okay? Don't be discouraged. We're here to help you. We want your application to be complete, and we want your projects to move forward. Project management costs associated with eligible events and projects are not eligible for funding. The Community Development Department, Housing and Neighborhood Services, has been designated by City Council to review and approve applications for funding that meet the nmgp criteria. And then you see, please contact Housing and Neighborhood staff. Even when you're putting your application together, if you have any questions, anything like that, call that number, and they'll contact myself or Margaret. And if you have any questions, if you're not sure about something, don't be afraid to call us before you submit your application, okay? Don't be in a rush either. Like I said, there's decent funding in this, and it's going to be around for a while, so don't be in a rush like, oh, I got to get it in, kind of thing. We're here to help you and make sure your application comes out good. The requirements and guidelines. The NMGP is available to establish neighborhood associations citywide. Eligible applicants must be formally established neighborhood associations. If you're a neighborhood association, I think I heard someone mention that they're just trying to start a neighborhood association. We have a neighborhood group list, and I believe how many groups do we have now, roughly? Over 120 neighborhood associations. So if you submit your application and we don't recognize your neighborhood group, what I do is I instantly go to the book, the list, see if you're on there. If you're not, then we'll contact you, ask you to fill out a form. Basically, the form is just stating your neighborhood group, how long you've been established, who maybe some of your representatives are, stuff like that, your boundaries of your neighborhood association, things like that. We just want to get you in for that, and that isn't public to anybody. That's just part of it's public.
You can ask to not be. Sorry. Yes, the neighborhood directory is on the city's website. You can find it by Googling Neighborhood Associations List Long Beach. It's probably the fastest way to get to that page. And there's a form to fill out. You can ask to not be listed. There's some personal information. We don't publish your home address or your home phone number, but it's good for the community to have a way to be able to reach you and for city staff to reach your neighborhood group when there are proposed projects going into your neighborhood. They use that directory to notify neighborhood groups within so many feet of a proposed project.
And if you're looking for a neighborhood group to partner with, works really good. Again, designated officers, membership rosters, history of neighborhood involvement. As I said, we work with that. The NMGP will provide grants up to $1,500 to accomplish approved events and projects. All events and projects must, though, be completed within 12 months of the notice of funding availability. Blah, blah, blah. So, once your project has been approved and we've pushed your check to be sent, that's when your 12 months starts. Okay, so basically you have a year to complete the project. If something comes up, say the person that was the main lead on it unfortunately becomes ill all of a sudden, or whatever may be a case, emergency, just contact us and give us heads up, let us know, and we can work with things like that, okay? But if you don't tell us, and we're like, wow, I haven't heard from Bob in 6 months, what's going on? I'm probably gonna contact you via email or call and say, hey, just looking for an update, see what's going on, okay? But yeah, things happen, unfortunately, and if something happens, just give us a call and let us know, okay? The grants will be distributed directly to the neighborhood association, who must have a tax ID number or a fiscal agent. Detailed cost records and program project completion will be required and is subject to approval of the Housing Neighborhood Services Bureau. So let's say your application's been approved. We send it to funding. They send the check to your fiscal agent. You start doing your project. You've completed your project. Everything's great. You did your tree planting. Very important. Keep all your receipts. Keep everything that is listed in your application, because we're going to require you to give all that back to us to show proof that you did spend the funds on what you said you were going to spend them on, and not a trip to Disneyland. Okay? A monetary match is not required for this grant, but a match of volunteer hours will be required. As project management costs are not eligible for funding, we mentioned that again. Also, gift cards are not eligible for purchases through the grant. Event projects on public or private property must have prior written authorization at the time of the application submittal. Incomplete applications will not be considered. Okay, let's say you're going to do a project on parkways, that green span between the sidewalk and the curb. That's a city parkway. If you want to plant trees on that, you're going to need the city's approval. You're going to need city arborist, public works approval. You want to do a mural on the side of a building that isn't your building. You're going to need that owner's approval in writing, stating that we ask that it's in writing, has the person's name, and a phone number that we can contact them. And chances are we will contact them, because we don't want to get yelled at after you do a mural and they go, oh, the city told me I'm good to go on that one. So yeah, so anything that you're going to do on private property, we're going to need, and I think HOA is the same thing. If you're doing something with HOA, we're going to need approval from the HOA. Prior to that, please don't submit the application and then go, oh, well, okay, now I got to get the property authorization after we go, you're approved, because that's just going to hold up your project. Yes?
Yeah.
And then I got around to it was on private property, so
Oh.
So because if it's in a park,
If
we
it's-
have to now have a big survey set up, and lots of time getting input.
Well, I don't know what Parks and Rec's process is for installing murals. There is a process. The most recent mural that I know of that went in a park went in Bixby Park, and there was a process that, and it's on canvas, so it can actually be removed. So if it's on private property adjacent to a park, it's on private property adjacent to a park. So you have a good loophole there. But
What I'm trying to understand is what projects would that come into play? Like, wait a minute, you didn't ask everybody in the neighborhood if they wanted you to plant a tree here. Like, is that gonna come up? What kind of community input loop we have to jump through on certain projects?
Great question. Hopefully you're working with your neighborhood association and all the members so they know that what the idea is and that you don't have major opposition. Jim and I and Francisco have been working on the I Dig Long Beach campaign for about the last 7 years, doing tree plantings. And what we did on our tree plantings, we had to get Public Works approval for the parkway and the species. And then we sent a courtesy letter to the property owner notifying them that we intended to plant a tree in front of their property, and it was gonna be this species, and tell us no if you don't want it. Otherwise, we're gonna plant it. Because a lot of people have a lot of things to say about trees. And if they don't want a tree in front of their house and you force them to put a tree in front of their house, there won't be a tree there for very long. So there's plenty of people who want a tree. So it's easier to work with people who want the tree, and you can put a call out to through your neighborhood association. If you're interested in a tree in front of your house, tell us now and we'll put you on our list so that we can include you in the grant. That's kind of the easier way to do it for tree planting.
The tree planting is free, and you can just do it. Like, I just have tree done, you don't need any money for it.
Well, if you want to do it, Office of Sustainability now has a tree planting program, but they have a limited number of staff. So they're not able to just, if you ask for a tree today, you may not get a tree right away. Awesome. You're at the top of, clearly you're at the top of the list. And yeah, and they have to get Public Works approval. So having the homeowner proactively ask for trees is great. You could put trees on private property with this grant. So if you guys wanted to plant fruit trees in people's front yards, that's something that could happen. If you wanted to put an orchard in a playground at a school, you wanted to plant trees at a church, you wanted to have some memorial trees that are planted somewhere in memory of something. There's lots of ways that you can kind of spin it to make it a project that's part of the whole neighborhood and that the trees are really important to the residents.
So I guess the short answer is, if we come with a project, you're gonna come back and tell us, hey, you have to do community input on this, right?
No, we're going to tell you which departments you're going to have to deal with to get that. If you're going to do something in parks, you're going to have to start with the supervisor of that park. And as you all know, there's a lot of parks in Long Beach. And then from that supervisor, it's going to go eventually probably to the director. And I've done a lot of grants. I had another grant, a Neighborhood Partners Program grant. I worked in a lot of parks, and basically anything I did in a park or a group wanted to do in a park had to have the director from Parks and Recs authorization on a letter of approval.
How do we find out if it is very problematic? How do we find out who the supervisor is?
You give me a call. Anything that you're going to do, as Margaret mentioned, Public Works, that, as I mentioned, parkways, and yeah, Margaret and me and Francisco and Gonzalo have planted trees for more years than I want to count. But technically, that is city property. And as Margaret mentioned, we send out a letter, we let the owners know, and we give them an option. Because like Margaret said, if they don't want the tree, why plant it? Because they're just going to let it die. But technically, that is city property, and we don't need authorization, really. But we're not here, we don't want to be, again, it makes no sense. But anything you're going to do, schools, I'm letting you know right now, if you're planning on doing something with a school, you're going to need, one, the principal's authorization for that school, and the school district. And I'll be honest with you, they don't always jive together. I have a lot of experience, Margaret has a lot of experience working with school districts. One's going to tell you yes, the other one's going to say nope, or vice versa. So, yeah, anything that you're not going to do, or anything, I should say, any project you're going to do on any kind of city property or any school or anything like that, you're going to definitely have to go through some channels.
That might be also for physical projects on a school campus. As with the Mann Elementary School project, did you, you just had the principal allow you to have your event at the school? So they didn't actually, you guys did the garden, didn't you?
MLK Day of Service.
You put a garden on the campus, but it was already a plan that had already been approved. There's just a lack of funding for it? So there's gray area.
Yeah, and
So-
like Margaret mentioned, and you had also mentioned your mural was on a canvas, so it can be moved. I know that's the new thing, is that when they do murals, a lot of murals, especially in city facilities, that they ask now that they're on canvases so they can be moved and not permanently on the building. But not to put Rose Park on the spot, Rose Park did a mural on a private business, and they just simply had to have the owner's authorization. Yeah. So, but yeah, call us if you have questions about who you need to talk to in the city or things like that, and we'll do our best to get you an answer. No. Even the mini parks have a supervisor, and some supervisors run multiple parks. Yes, I'm sorry.
You mentioned earlier about match of volunteer hours. I'm new to this, so can you explain what does that mean?
Okay, so your project is, let's say, community garden, and you're going to work with residents and students. They have all agreed to come out and help plant the plants and do the fertilizer, do all the great stuff. They're volunteering their time. So you're going to, in the application, there's a volunteer sheet. You're going to get all the volunteers' names. I think it has phone numbers. We're not really looking for phone numbers. We don't want people's personal phone numbers, but we want their name. We want how many hours they're going to commit, and then that $29.95 we talked about, that's how you're going to charge that volunteer hours. So if it's 10 hours, you're going to charge each hour at $29.95. That adds up really quick, and that can be your sole match towards this grant. You don't have to give any cash. You don't have to have donated items. It's great if you do, but you don't have to. You can have volunteer hours. So they would have to fill that. But also on the volunteer page, and we're going to show that here shortly, we do have to have what we call a wet signature. We need real signatures, no stamps, no fancy, I know the computers now can do the pre-signatures, has to be a wet signature.
Does the volunteers have to be residents of Long Beach?
No, they don't have to be residents of Long Beach. If you get a school from out of this, that's looking to do a project with you and they just happen to be Cerritos, that's fine, but they have to be on that volunteer sheet, okay? Also, well, we'll hit this when we hit the application. Yes?
About volunteers. We're going to be applying for an event in the neighborhood that will not take place until the middle or the end of June. We'll be able to generate some names, but it will not be the accurate list of all the volunteers that will be involved, because we'll be recruiting volunteers closer to the event. So,
Well,
will you consider that as a?
Yeah, well, the thing that's required for this grant is volunteer hours that show who's going to manage this project. So if you're managing this project and you're donating 40 hours towards the project management, part of your duties, you're going to help recruit other volunteers. But if you have 0 volunteers and you're looking at 200 hours worth of stuff that needs to be done, then you're kind of behind the 8 ball already in terms of like, how are you going to actually realistically make this happen? So you want to do your best to get the volunteers you know that are going to make this happen, and even if it's a skeleton team, otherwise there's only one person volunteering and you've got 35 jobs that need to happen. And one of the criteria for the grant is that this realistically could happen.
if you have one volunteer doing 100 hours, we're going to be like, okay. Plus, we try, your events we try to come out to also. So if I come out there and you signed up for 50 volunteers and I come out and there's like 500, I'm going to be like, all right, well, okay, they had more volunteers than they thought. So, yeah. Or you can just wait and apply later as you get closer to your event. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm just saying you can. I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah.
My question is, on the previous page, it says that the project management. So what's the difference between somebody who's?
The volunteer hours you pledge, we can't pay you from the grant. So if you're project managing, your members can't get paid for the project. Yeah.
Use the same responsibilities to get volunteer time.
All the people that are going to work on this are pledging their hours as a pledge, as a match.
I mentioned before, like the landscape architect donating. If that landscape architect said, well, no, I charge $150 an hour. Give me a little something, something. We can't do that. We can't pay them out of the grant. Yes. They're donating their services. They're not asking to be paid. We cannot pay them out of the grant. If he says, I want to be paid to lay out the plans.
It's not my question. It's, so volunteer hours are $29.95 an hour. Professional landscaping services, are we not saying we're gonna give that a monetary value as a match? And so I was asking, what is that monetary value that we're gonna use as a match?
What's the professional value of the service they're giving you? So if a photographer normally charges $1,000 a day for photography services, and they're going to volunteer for your project, they're going to give a pledge letter on their letterhead saying that they're donating their professional services for that day, valued at $1,000.
So that's what I'm saying, that person will then say, I charge $50 an hour, and that's fine, because that's what the services are.
Right, but we can't pay them $150. Yeah.
That's the match.
Yeah, exactly.
And realistic. We get some doozies sometimes. I'm like, what? Anyways, yeah. Okay, the next page is the application availability. Applications were available as of January 4th. There is the web page where the application is available. If you didn't already receive an email notice from Margaret, who's great about sending this out to everybody, that is you go on that website, has the writable application and the writable W-9. Okay? If for some reason you can't find it, give us a call at the 570-6866 and we'll guide you that way. Hard copy materials will not be mailed in response to requests. Printed hard copies of the application may be obtained. You can come, if you want to come all the way down to City Hall and deal with that lovely stuff, sure. We'll come down and meet you and give you an application. But you can do it. You can do it all online. Workshop. We're doing this workshop here on the 24th tonight. Thank you again for all coming. We are going to do another one on February 29th. So if you want to hear me talk more about the same thing, come on back. Okay? Application submission criteria. Applicants may not alter the application format. This is why we specifically went through making this a writable application. We don't, please do not change the format. One, because it just throws everything off and it's very difficult for us to read when we receive it. If you need additional papers, you had mentioned you're going to have 5,000 volunteers coming to your event. In the application, there is, volunteer donation and labor form. If you know you're going to get 5,000 or 500 volunteers, please make more copies of this. Or call us up and say, hey, can I get more copies? I'll be happy to send it to you. Please don't make up your own form or go on the back and start writing all these names and trying to make the boxes and everything. It's just very, very confusing, and it makes it even harder and a longer delay for us to do your application. And I know some of you guys are like going, you'd be really surprised, some of the stuff we get. So please do not augment the format. If you're having problems with it, call us up and let us know, and we'll do our best to walk you through it. Okay, applications can either be emailed to nsb@longbeach.gov or hand-delivered by appointment only. Again, if you come down to City Hall, call ahead because it's a little chaotic to try to get in City Hall. So if you do need to drop it off, if you're handwriting it or anything, just call ahead. let us know you're coming so we can come down and meet you, and it's a less hassle for you. You know where we're located, City Hall, at 411 West Ocean Boulevard. We're on the 3rd floor. Submitting electronically via email is highly encouraged. We highly encourage that. If hand-delivered hard copies, applications, and all attachments must be submitted on 8.5 by 11 white paper, single stapled in the upper left corner. The cover page of the application packet must contain a NOFA reference number. In this case, it's that number, NOFA NMPG 2024. All application attachment pages must contain the application name and the NOFA reference number. Proposals must be submitted single-sided and submitted as one only copy. Okay. Take a breath. All right, we're going to go really quick through the application. I know you guys have a lot of questions. First page is the actual application page. We ask for the name of the group, the address, city, state, contact person. Very important. Please let the contact person and the second contact person know about the project and know what the project is about. You'd be surprised. You call someone up and, what? What are you talking about? Please make sure that the contact person, 1 and 2, are aware of what is the entire project is about. Please include telephone and email. We just added the email to the application this time because we found we do have problems sometimes getting hold of people on the phone. Please provide everything on the application page. Number of years organization has been established, let us know. And then B, the program information. We're looking for 1 or 2 sentences just really briefly about what you look at, what your project is, what you want to do. We're not looking for a whole book because later in the application, that's when you can give us the book. Here we just want 1 or 2 sentences of what you're really looking to do. We want to do a community garden on 7th and Obispo. Tell us that. Then later in the application, you're going to give us more detail. Application certification, name of your organization, and the amount that you're asking for. Again, maximum of $1,500 per grant application. You don't have to ask for $1,500. You can ask for $10. I'm going to be like $10, but that's okay. You do not have to ask for $1,500. You can ask for less, but it cannot go over a maximum of $1,500. And then at the bottom, you see name of organizational representatives. We ask for a minimum of at least 2 signatures. Again, this is the other place, this and the volunteer sheet are the only place we need wet signatures. Can't be a stamp, can't be computer generated. Must be wet signatures. If you only have 1, I'm going to contact you and say, I need another. Yes?
If you want us to submit this electronically,
Uh-huh.
how does that do your signature?
You can print it out, you can sign it, and scan it to me.
Oh, you call that a wet signature, okay.
Well, we'll know if it's a wet signature.
It's the ink you have.
Yeah. It's got to be inked, basically. And we'll know. Yeah. We get a lot, though, where people are like, it's a wet signature. It's like, no, you can tell it's computerized. Come on, you know. But need at least 2. If you have 3 representatives that can sign, that's great. But a minimum of 2. Again, if you only submit 1, I'm going to call you and ask you to submit another one. Yes?
These funds are, if it's all is great, they're given prior to the event so that we can front the money, correct? We don't have to front the money, or do you reimburse post?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, and I was going to mention that too. Once your application's submitted, it's not going to be 5 days, and you're going to hear back from us. We are constantly getting applications every day. Last 2 weeks, I've gotten 4 applications. In the real world, this is the way it works. I review it, and that's when I get to, as they come in, I mark them when I receive them. When you email it to us, it gets sent to me. I print it out. I may not even get to it that day, but I'm going to print it out. I'll put a stamp when I received it. Hopefully, within a week of getting your application, I review it. If it's got everything, if it's a perfect world and the application is 100% complete, I fill out the direct payment forms. I sign it, and I give it to Margaret, who has to approve, goes through it and approves it. Then, once we've both approved it, it goes to accounting, our financial management. They go through it with a fine-tooth pen, mainly the budget page. If they see anything that doesn't make sense to them, they're going to kick it back. So realistically, to answer your question, it could be anywhere from, and I'm being honest, a month to 3 months.
But still, my question is about funds that we don't use. So can you, in some role, do you cut us a check prior to the event? Or is it always supposed to?
We try to. If you submit an application to me and you're going to do a festival, you submit it to me January 31st, and the festival is February 7th?
No, that's not my question. So, okay, so in my perfect world, I get the check, right, $1,500. I ask for $1,500, I get $1,500. We do a festival, we spend $600. Do I return those funds?
Yes.
Okay, that's my question.
Yes.
What, can we say, we're gonna use these funds for our next event? Probably
No.
not. We have to return.
Yep.
Because you already, on the budget, you're already going to tell us what it is you want to buy with the money.
Right.
So if you didn't buy the things you said you were going to buy, then you're going to have to return the funds. Yes. But
Yeah.
if you were going to buy breakfast from Eggs Et Cetera, and Eggs Et Cetera went out of business, and you want to buy the food from Panera Bread instead, you'd tell us, we work it out, we have something in the file, you could buy the same thing you were going to buy from someone else.
So it's more of unused funds. If we're
Yeah.
given prior to the event, what do we do with unused funds? So we just cut you a check.
You'll basically have already thought through the whole project, and so you already know what you were going to buy. And if you were, by some miracle, able to buy things all half price, so you still bought 15 bags of chips, but it cost half the price, then you could tell us, and we could figure out, I want to buy more chips, or I'm going to return the funds. But it's for that one event.
Don't say you're going to buy apples and go out and buy a car, because then we're going to be like, what? So, yeah, but as I was mentioning, though, also, I'm being realistic about when you're submitted, because we have had this issue where someone submits an application and the event literally is a month later, and by the time this grant is approved, their project's already gone through. So they had to front the money before they received the funds. So if that is the case, you would just reimburse those funds. Again, very important to keep all those receipts, because we are going to ask back for them. But yes, any funds that you do not use, we do ask back for. You can't use them for another event. Good, great question. Okay, so that's the application page. Second page, project budget. This is the big one. So the first box, real quick, supplies and professional services to be donated. You see it says optional. Again, you don't have to put anything in this, but if you do have professional services or supplies that are being donated, please put them in there, okay? It shows part of your match. And make sure that you put the estimated value. Volunteer or donated labor, this is required. This is required for the grant. And as I said, in the application, there is a form. If you need additional forms, let us know, or just make copies of this. Okay? So on that volunteer labor, you would put in, Sue, estimated hours, 14 hours, and then that $29.95 you see there at the bottom of the box, you do that times how many hours and get your value. And you would put that at the bottom of the total value or volunteer donated labor. Third box, cash contribution. Again, optional. You do not have to submit any cash for this grant. If you want to, that's your prerogative. So you would put the source of the cash. Say you have another grant. You might have another grant, and you're combining this grant and another grant to do your project. You could say, well, we have a grant from the Port of Long Beach for $1,500, and we're putting $1,500 of that grant and then your $1,500. You would put that in here, stating the value of that cash contribution towards that. Okay?
Do you want a total budget?
Yes. Yes. We need a total budget. Sorry, I got stuck there. Yes, because I always tell everybody, make sure that your application makes sense and that your numbers are right and that it, has a beginning. I like to say a beginning and an end. Because when we get these applications, we see your project or your event through what you write on this application. If we can't visualize it or or understand it, then we're going to call you because it doesn't make sense to us or we're missing something. Okay? So very important that you fill everything out on the budget page. Then the last box is the neighborhood microgrant contribution. This is what you're asking that $1,500 for the grant to pay for. Say you're doing we're going to use a tree planting here again. Say you're doing a tree planting and you want us to pay for the trees, the mulch, the soil, the fertilizer. You would put soil, how much the price is. Trees, how much the price is. Fertilizer, how much the price is, blah, 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 on. That's what you're at, but that's what you're asking us to pay for out of the $1,500. That's what you want to pay for out of your $1,500. Now,
Documentation that that's a legitimate.
now next, anything that is on this budget page, whether it is donated services. If it's donated services, as we had mentioned, the landscape architect, he's going to design the plans. He wants to donate his services. He's going to give me a letter on his letterhead with his name, with their name and their phone number, stating how much his time is to do the plans. That's considered backup documentation. Volunteer donated labor. This is your backup documentation on your volunteers. Cash contribution. You say your neighborhood group has their own funds and you're going to put $50 towards this project. We're going to ask you for a bank statement. We're not looking for we don't want to know how much wonderful money you have. We just need something that states that it's your account, your neighborhood group's account, and that you have those funds available. Very, very important. The neighborhood grant program contribution, anything in that must have a statement. Referring back to the example of tree plantings, you're getting your trees from Home Depot. I need a quote from Home Depot showing those 15 trees that you want to purchase and how much they cost with tax, with delivery, everything, and that needs to be put in that budget page. That's soil. If it's from Bob's Ace Hardware, I need an invoice. Everything that is on this budget page must have backup. If you just write in trees, soil, everything and submit this application to me, I'm going to be calling you saying you have no documentation. We cannot accept your application. You must go back and get all your documentation. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I had just one extra thing to say about cash contributions. Alternatively, you may have received a grant or you have a grant notice. So you got an award letter for your tree planting project from Port of Long Beach, and here's your letter saying you received an award of $4,000. Or you have a letter from your council office that they're pledging $500 towards your project, and you just have the email. You haven't even received the cash yet, but they've emailed you to say that. That's acceptable also.
Supplies. Say someone in the neighborhood decides, hey, I'll donate 2 cases of water to the event. So they would state these 2 cases of water were $4.50. Cost me $4.50 a case. They would just write that in there. So $9 for 2 cases of water. You just put that in there, and then I'll take your word on the neighbor donating that. Well, they can give me a letter saying, Bob, am part of the neighborhood association. I'm donating 2 cases of water equaling $9 value. Okay. Yes.
So you're saying you've already purchased the materials and you're going to... I would get the quote now. I mean, if you're really trying to put a tree planting together that's in 3 weeks, you still don't have an approved application, so we would prefer that you don't spend the money on something that's not yet approved. So if you're getting the quote for the trees before your event, you have your event in the meantime before the check can get cut, then you give us the receipt because the event's already happened.
It's not a quote. If we have to buy things at a grocery store, the grocery store doesn't give you a quote on.
Something could, not that it would, but something could happen where all of a sudden these funds disappear and you already bought everything. then you're not going to get reimbursed. So we don't recommend that you buy everything ahead. We recommend that you use the grant and wait for it to go through the process. That's why we're telling you now, so you plan your event out within a distance of time. We don't recommend that you purchase everything ahead of time.
Yeah.
If you have to, then that's a different story. We understand.
Well, like the online quotes are fine. You can do like, I put everything in a shopping cart at Ralph's. Here's the printout of what I'm intending to buy. Then you can see exactly what it is and what it costs. The question is, what if I'm planning to give cash? So you would write a pledge letter that says, who you are, I'm pledging $75 towards this project. You could have a cash match. You could have groups that are pledging gift cards. So if someone wants to give you a gift card to Home Depot and that's a donation, you could put that in the cash section.
Or you could, if you're pledging that money for a specific item or something for the event or the project, you could say, I'm pledging $175. I'm buying 2 of the trees. That we're doing tree planting. I'm going to donate $175, purchase 2 of the trees. Then it would show in the invoice, and you could literally write, these are the 2 trees my cash contribution paid for, or my donation. Make sense? Okay. Okay. So that's it for the budget page. Very important. Anything on the budget page, documentation. Then really quick, we're going to go through this quicker. Event project description. I had mentioned on the application page a 1 or 2 sentence of your project. This is where we want you to, now you can brag about the project, the great thing you want to do, the great project you want to do. Go into detail. If you go, we're going to plant trees. That doesn't tell me. I need to know where you're going to plant trees, how many trees you're going to plant, what kind of trees you're going to plant, Make it simple, but make it understandable. Again, when we read this, we understand your project off of what you put in this application. So if it doesn't make sense to us, we're going to be contacting you going, it doesn't make sense. But you can talk. Again, if you need additional pages, please add additional pages for that. Organizational involvement. We want you to brag. This is where you get to brag about all the great things that your neighborhood group has already done. If you've done a mural in your neighborhood, brag about it. If you've already used this grant already, brag about it. Tell us all the great things that you've already done so we go, wow, this group is really committed. They've used the grant before. They've done murals. They've done awesome stuff. That's your part to brag. If you want to brag a book, that's okay. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I'm going to read it all, but if you want to brag, 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 brag. Tell us the great things you've done. Cleanups, anything like that. Verification of program costs and match. Provide documentation to show the cost of the items you would like to purchase through the grant. Listed in the NM, this is what I talked about. Documentation. Everything must have a quote, backup documentation. Okay, anything on that budget page. Whether it's a donation, volunteer hours, or what you're going to ask the grant to pay for. Everything must have documentation. If you're not sure, give me a call. Please call us, and we'll walk you through it. We'll help you with it, okay? Property authorization. We touched on this a little. Anything that's on private property, school, districts, submit written authorization from the property owners and provide a list of the names, addresses, and telephone numbers of all property owners involved. Programs on private property that involve, we mentioned HOAs must have prior approval. Again, don't wait till the last minute to do this, or don't do it after you submit it, because sometimes it can take a long time to get a hold of those owners, and last thing you want to do is have your application basically approved, but the only thing that's holding it up is you're waiting for a letter from a property owner that might live in Nebraska somewhere and, isn't looking at their email or something, okay? Yes?
So if it's being held in a park, we have to find out who our park supervisor is and what the
Yeah, if it's in a park, anything like that, any kind of city facility, thing like that, you're going to have to go through some kind of department.
Parks has a permit for special, you have to reserve the park through their, it's not even through the supervisor, it's through their, no, it's through, what's the name of this? I want to say reservations, park reservations. They actually have a form that you fill out to reserve a park. And if they're going to charge you for the park, that could be one of the things you could pay for with the grant. But you might be able to get,
I mean, I know this is. Our elected official is one of our sponsors, then they can grease the skids on.
you're saying this on camera, you know.
But it's true. That's part of their role, in my opinion, to respond to neighborhood.
Well, then they're going to have to give us a letter saying it's approved.
Got it. Good. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to need something. If other than that, la, 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 la. But, yeah, we're going to need we have to have approval from someone.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, it's going to come back and bite us, and unfortunately, it's going to come back and bite you. And
We're the
we
city.
don't want that.
Yeah, we're the city, and when we host events, we host a tree planting at a park, when we're only meeting at the park to go plant trees, we have to get a permit. They don't charge us for it. We had an alumni reunion dinner for the Neighborhood Leadership Program. It was in a park. They charged us. We're another city department, but we had it inside a facility, and they did charge us for that.
And we have to get their authorization to do things at their facilities, so. Yes?
You could use whatever vendor, but it's the vendor you intend to use. So don't give us a fake quote and then go buy stuff from somewhere else knowing that you're just giving us a fake quote. We really want you to put together a project that is easy for you to then implement. And if you gave us all fake quotes and now you got to go get real quotes because you spent all your time getting quotes from people you weren't going to buy from, you just doubled your work. So we want it to be easy for you once you receive the funds to just make the project seamless. The hard part's the planning.
And, go ahead. You had a question?
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that we ain't gonna have a flyer.
Make a template. Figure it out. This is part of your planning process because you're going to have to make a flyer sooner or later.
I understand, but if we send you a draft,
And then you're going to add your sponsors as they come in, that's fine.
Yeah, you can always give us an updated flyer. The reason we ask for a flyer is because when we submit your W-9 to accounting, we also submit the flyer. And that way accounting knows this is a real project. This isn't me trying to get money and using you to get money, okay? That's why we ask for the flyer also. Plus, we like to share your events. As you can see on those boards, there's a lot of flyers back there. We want to share your events. We want to let your council members, we want to let everybody know what your cool projects are and invite them also to come out and look at your events. So that's another reason we ask for the flyer. W-9, I just want to touch on this really quick. Provide a signed W-9. That must be a wet signature also. Whoever signs your W-9, your fiscal agent or your neighborhood association, whatever the case, that must be a wet signature also. W-9s, this is a must. Some people try to get around them. Nope, we're still going to ask you for one every time you submit an application. Yeah, it's fine, but we're going to ask, has to be one with the application every time. Yeah, as long as you don't change your fiscal agent. Okay. Okay, and then just really quick, this is just a checklist. You can go through this. Once you get your application together, just scan this really quick. It's really here just to tell you everything, double check. Okay, I got my organizational information. I got my project, got my application, ching, 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 ching. You know, it's just there basically to let you know that you have everything. And then the last page, this is just criteria. This is what we look for, some of the things that we look for on your application. when you submit it. Project addresses identified community need. You know, if it's a dog park and it's like in your backyard for your dog, we're going to ask how's that, you know, helping the community. So these are just kind of things. Project, you know, is it economically feasible? Can it really be, is it realistic? Can it be accomplished within 12 months? You know, we're building a skyscraper. Well, 12 months, I don't know. Application demonstrates organizational capacity to the project. Organization has a track record of involvement. Again, brag about the great things that your group has already done. Volunteers from the community are included in the project. Really, really important, as we mentioned on the budget page. You don't have to have cash contributions. You don't have to have donated services or supplies, but you must have volunteer hours. Very important. If you don't have that, you don't have a match for the grant, and we cannot. That's probably one of the very most important ways you're not going to get a grant from us, if you don't have those volunteer hours, because we can't. We're stopped dead in the water right there. Okay? So really important to get volunteers. Okay? Margaret, anything you want to add?
I'd love to hear what some of your project ideas are, if you want to share. Pam? Fantastic. That's.
I think I saw your flyer. You guys already put a flyer together? No? Not yet? Okay.
Yeah. Wilmore City did a Christmas cookie decorating with kids at the Bembridge House. And then Alamitos Beach Neighborhood Association is looking to do they have a butterfly garden at a pocket park on 4th Street. And so they're going to also be doing a milkweed planting.
I like that you said, well, my first project. I like that. Nice. So, yeah, just like I said, even if you're looking for ideas, please look at the board on the back. If you're, you know, just not really sure what you want to do, you can call us up and we'll try to give you some ideas. But I know everybody's got something great already planned, or you wouldn't have came to this meeting.
And we can help connect you to other people. So if you want to talk to Candace, who where she's getting her milkweed plants from, or, you know, there was the county had a milkweed giveaway. Maybe there's other, you know, who are the suppliers, and not just retail prices, but you might be able to get wholesale prices somewhere.
Partnerships are great too. Neighborhood associations working together to do projects. We've had that. I believe Rose Park and Bluff Heights mentioned that they work together on a project. You know, you can do an application with another association too. So keep that in mind. And if you, yes, sir. Yeah, in the application packet that is back there, hopefully you gave him one. There's a volunteer list. To apply for this grant application, you must have volunteers. So there's a list in here. You must have the names of the volunteers, their phone numbers, which we're not that concerned about, but mainly their hours, the volunteer's name, and their signature. And their signature must be signed. It cannot be a copy. It must be what we call a wet signature. Must be signed. You must have volunteer hours to apply for this grant as a match.
So what we're looking for here, you need to be able to reach out to your volunteers who signed up. So if you didn't ask them for a phone number, then how are you going to contact them? So we don't care if you cross out everyone's phone number by the time you send in your application to us, but you need to know how you're going to reach out to your volunteers, because one of the criteria is volunteers are involved in this project in a meaningful way. It's great. 'Cause then
Yeah,
you
we'll,
can
yeah,
reach
we'll
them
take
again.
an email address. That's great. If all else fails, yeah, we'll take email. Okay? Any more questions? Thank you all for coming out. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you don't like talking in front of crowds, I totally understand. We'll be around if you want to talk to us on the side. Thank you.